Alright, this morning we're going to learn the third part of our series, Introduction to GitHub for .NET, TSQL, and Powershell developers. And we're going to be discussing issue tracking, issue reporting, and issue management in GitHub. And this will be a shorter, faster video, but will be I think, very useful for people who are in a startup environment and want to get things done as opposed to just having a bunch of data in front of them. So the first thing I want to do is just kind of introduce the wrong way of doing things. So one of the companies that I worked at previously, or I should say one of the clients I worked for previously, the way that they would track issues is they used a program that in order to report an issue and in order to implement a change, you had to deal with a program that had, I believe it was 17 different tabs of questions that you had to answer. And I think there were, of course, text boxes that you would fill information in. And by the time it was all said and done, the average person reporting an issue or asking for an enhancement probably typed out the equivalent of about 6 or 7 pages in Microsoft Word. Okay? That is the wrong way of doing things, and I'll tell you why. Because I tracked it from a time perspective with several people, myself included, and I calculated that each person spent a little over 53 minutes per issue or enhancement. Per bug, enhancement, issue, whatever you want to call it. 53 minutes, and then we had on average for each of us about 6 a week. So basically, the company is almost losing 6 hours every week just filling out information. And the way that issues should be reported, or enhancement should be asked for, or bugs should be reported, is simple. There's no reason to make things incredibly complicated. And I'm going to tell you that if you work for big clients, you'll usually find them do this, and then they can't figure out why they can't roll things out faster for their actual customers, and it's, well, because you're spending all this time doing these things. So let's look at GitHub, and I'm going to go to one of our repositories here. One of my repositories here, and it's pricing. And I did one as a demo earlier, closed it out, didn't like the video, so I'm recording it again because the sound was too low. So first of all, you'll notice when you go to a repository, on the right-hand side you see code. Right underneath that, you'll see issues. So we're going to click on that, and we can look at the issues. So the first thing is we have labels for issues. And we're not going to look at milestones at this point in time. You can read up about milestones, but that's irrelevant at this point. So we have labels for issues: bug, duplicate, enhancement, invalid, question, won't fix. As a note, if you want to get rid of those labels or any of those labels, you can click on Manage Labels. If you want to add your own label, you can pick a color and then add your own label name. Okay? So you're not just stuck with these default labels if you don't want. And again, notice how straightforward it is. It's not super complicated. Okay, so earlier there was an open one and then a closed, and it was just for demo, but let's go to this closed. I guess it'll be good to demonstrate this. For the record, if I wanted to create a new issue, I would click on New Issue, and we'll just see what happens here, just to show you, and I could sit there and say, this is a demo issue. And then I could write a comment, this is for a video tutorial, and then I could click on Invalid, and that would put the label, and that would put the issue. Okay? But let's go back, and just as a case in point, let me show you. You will see issue reported, you'll see closed. The color is going to be affiliated with whatever the label is. Okay, so let's go to the closed issue, and we can actually click on this issue. Okay, so add labels, this enhancement is for a video tutorial. So it was open, then we closed it. Very similar to the way that if I click on this, I can actually hit reopen, right? I can assign a person, obviously myself. It can be a part of a milestone, and we can apply another label to it, or we can remove a label. Okay, now I'm not going to reopen it, but you'd have those options under open as well. You can do various things with open issues, you can do various things with closed issues, okay? But again, the overall thing here is it's very simple. And this is all through the web app. This is all through the web app. None of this is using like command line or any type of GUI. So it's very easy to manage. There's nothing difficult about this whatsoever. And again, you'll notice there's not 30 tabs. If we were going to do a new issue, we can just throw a label on there and put the information here and title it. Unlike this one client, the correct way about doing that is you want your labels to be specific enough to where you don't need 30 tabs or 17 tabs or 6 pages of word text. You want your labels to be specific enough to where a title and a little paragraph is enough to explain it. And even then, a little paragraph, in my opinion, is overkill. 1 or 2 sentences is good enough to describe it. Again, if it was just add labels, it could be add labels. And on add labels, now we're going to be specific. We're going to say on form 1, there are no labels for the combo box and 3 text box within the table. And anyone who looks at the code will be able to say, okay, form 1, that we're identifying exactly where there are no labels, and I spelled that wrong. The combo box and 3 text boxes. Okay, so on the form there's only one place where that is, and then add labels above each. Or, well, actually it's not specific. Combo box and 3 text boxes. And there you go. Again, not 17 tabs, not 6 pages of Word documentation. So make your labels as specific as possible. And a lot of this, by the way, for the record, is more appropriate. That's why I don't, do these issues here. It's more appropriate if you're working on a project with a group of people. So I'm assuming that some of the people that are watching this are going to be looking at this video from the perspective of there's a group of us wanting to code. This is the way you're going to be tracking things. But it's very useful to do this type of thing, making it as simple as possible, less complicated, because that way your developer can spend 3 to 4 minutes completing this, getting it done, instead of 53 minutes each issue, each enhancement, each bug. It just takes way too much time.